Our country, Ghana, is under siege. A call to rise, resist, and defend the judiciary. That is what we are doing today. There is frightening and ominous clouds now loom over our republic as we march today. It's so clear that the 1992 Constitution, the sacred covenant that binds us as a free and sovereign people, is under assault. The very institutions entrusted with safeguarding our liberties are being infiltrated, manipulated, and desecrated. A ruthless cabal determined to cling to power at all costs. A third-term agenda. Even before NDC under President Mahama could assume the reins of government, we saw a violent assault on our constitutional order. They established the so-called ORA, a committee without any legal basis or constitutional backing, which engaged in flagrant illegality. That was the opening salvo in what has now become a full-blown campaign to dismantle our sacred democratic foundations. Under candidate Mahama's leadership, the NDC deployed mercenaries and thugs to polling stations and collation centers across the country. And we all know what happened late last year. Honorable Ekuya Efriye, who has warned Ablekumanoff, the EC is asking for security to enable them declare. NDC is saying they are not going to provide security. What is preventing the IGP, the previous IGP and the current IGP, what is preventing them from providing security for the Electoral Commission to complete its mandate? What we see is intimidation, bullying of state institutions, including the Electoral Commission. These mercenaries and thugs did not only brutalize our parliamentary candidates, agents, and supporters, they mutilated our nation. They inflicted physical harm, burned down Electoral Commission offices, and destroyed vital public property. Yet, to this day, none of them has been held accountable in a court of law. Now, under NDC, impunity reigns, and it is at the very top. Since assuming office, His Excellency the President has weaponized the security services, deploying them in retrogressive PNDC-style raids on the homes of political opponents. Dr. Addison, former Governor, Bank of Ghana, and Kenoforiata are victims of such onslaught, including the ADC to former Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia. We say to NDC, this is not governance. It is tyranny, cloaked in the robes of democracy. Additionally, President Mahama has arbitrarily dismissed senior military officers with years of faithful service. He has gutted the Ghana Armed Forces of professionals, experience, and neutrality. Our military, once revered for its non-partisanship, is now being painted in NDC colors. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous betrayal of the Republic. And why? Because President Mahama no longer sees himself as a president. He fancies himself an autocrat, a ruler for life. A number of guests at his inauguration told this story. Military dictators, authoritarian sympathizers, men of iron fists and empty conscience. And as if to erase all doubt, he donned full military regalia at a recent armed forces event, parading as commander of a nation he plans to subdue, not to serve. His every gesture speaks to a sinister agenda to break the constitution, amend it, and prolong his grips on power, abetted by a judiciary he is desperate to capture. This explains the relentless siege on the judiciary. A judiciary that has stood as a last bulwark between autocracy and freedom is now his target. Today, the Chief Justice, Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokono, a distinguished servant of this republic, is under siege. The head of the judiciary is being dragged through a sham process of removal from office, engineered by a desperate president and a rubber stamp by a failed Council of State. Their goal is not justice, it is intimidation. It is a warning shot to every judge: obey or be broken. They do not seek a judiciary that upholds the law. They seek one that bows to the will of a dictator, a bench bent to serve power, not principle. They seek to install kangaroo courts under a democratic facade. What is happening is no accident. It is a warning, a threat, a ruthless message to every judicial officer that dissent will be crushed and independence punished. Let us remember that the PNDC, the ideological ancestor of today's NDC, once murdered 3 High Court judges in cold blood. One of them, Justice Cecilia Krantiado, was pregnant. She died with her unborn child, burned, defiled, and erased. That dark memory now casts a shadow once more as Mahama returned with vengeance in his heart and fear as his airport. Let us observe a minute silence in memory of those judges who were murdered by the PNDC, the ancestor of NDC. 1 minute silence in memory of these judges who were murdered. May their souls and the souls of all the departed in the judicial service who suffered atrocities at the hands of the PNDC and its successor NDC rest in perfect peace. Amen. This time, instead of bullets and fire, the NDC uses nominations and intimidation. He has proposed 7 new appointments to the Supreme Court. Some competent, yes, but selected to serve his diabolical agenda. He wishes to fashion a judiciary in his image, subservient, pliant, loyal to party above law. It is no coincidence that His Excellency titled his memoir, My First Coup d'etat, and what is unfolding in our democratic institutions appear to be the second. But the judiciary is not his only target. Since returning to power, Mahama has embarked on a sweeping purge of the public and civil service. Hundreds of hardworking Ghanaians, professionals who have served government of all stripes with dignity and skill, have been dismissed without cause or hounded into false resignation. Their only crime was refusing to wear NDC's colors and submit to its whims. This is a direct assault on the principle of neutrality in our public administration. It is a betrayal of the values enshrined in our constitution: merit, impartiality, and service to the nation, not to any political party. And as if the shameful attacks on the Chief Justice were not enough, President Mahama plans to turn his diabolic sight on the Electoral Commission. We hear NDC operatives already out there without shame calling for the removal of the EC chair. They speak of accountability, but who do they think they are misleading? The Attorney General, far from being the guardian of justice, has been reduced to a partisan stool, sweeping away prosecutions against NDC officials and now focusing on MPP officials. Now entangled in a web of allegations and counter-allegations, he has become a perfect reflection of the regime's decay, a symbol not of justice, but of rot in high office. The president himself, who boldly vowed to sanction any appointee who failed to comply with the constitutional mandate to declare asset before assuming public office, has so far failed to sanction these officials who breached his own code. Now he remains silent, lacking the courage to act. Instead of upholding the constitution, his government issues weak denials and evasive statements, shielding the lawless while persecuting the principle. This is not leadership. It is a conspiracy of impunity, a cabal determined to protect its own and crush all who would dare to hold them accountable. Let us be clear. This is not politics as usual. This is dangerous, coordinated attack on Ghana's constitutional democracy. And that is why we march today. We march to resist the rise of a new oppressor, one who wears the clothes of democracy, but governs with the spirit of dictatorship. We march not as partisans, but as patriots. We march because of the Constitution demands it, article after article of our supreme law, and joins us to defend the Republic, not with arms, but with truth, courage, and lawful resistance. We must, as citizens, be vigilant. We must be relentless. We must use every constitutional tool at our disposal to oppose the descent into despotism. Every citizen who cherishes freedom must rise, loud, bold, and fearless. We must organize, mobilize, and strategize until this diabolical agenda is brought to its knees. We say to the judiciary, your first duty is the constitution, not this president, not any president. You owe allegiance to the Republic and its people. In these trying times, we do not ask you to take sides. We ask you to stand firm, to stand for justice, to stand for Ghana. And know this, you are not alone, and you will never walk alone. We stand with you and will not falter until judicial independence is restored and protected. And to those judges who are being promised of promotions just to cow you, remember, if today it is Tokonu, tomorrow it will be you. Stand firm. Don't be cowed. Don't be attracted to take promises. Let history record that in the darkest of times, we did not cower to the whims of a despotic ruler in democratic attack. Let it be said that when Ghana's democracy bled, we did not look away. We, the people, stood up. We fought back with valor, and we reclaimed our republic. May God bless our struggle. May God bless our constitution. And may God bless the Republic of Ghana and make it great and strong. Arise, Ghana youth, for your country. Let us all unite to uphold and make and strong. We are all involved. We are all involved. We are all involved in building America. We are all involved. We are all involved. We are